Let's talk about David Tepper, the owner for the Carolina Panthers, who should no longer be the owner with this team. Not because of the incident that he had with the fan when he threw the drink at the Jacksonville Jaguars fan. If you have not seen that video, you just search up David Tepper. It's everywhere right now. It's on X. It's on YouTube. Instagram. It's everywhere. David Tepper has been a terrible owner with this team. And it's besides him throwing the drink at the fan, like I've said before. This team's in a terrible situation. They don't own their own first-round pick this year. That goes to the Chicago Bears. And you know what? If this team's in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. Hey, and if you had your for sure quarterback at that position, it doesn't matter. Bryce Young is still a mystery with this team because he showed a lot of bad this season, but has also showed a lot of good as well. Getting the ball out quick, had a very good game against the Green Bay Packers. He just hasn't had that season, and it's not all on Bryce Young. I'm going to get to that in just a second, in the next couple minutes. David Tepper, when he first purchased his team, he made an emphasis. He said, I want to build this team in my image. I want to go in. I want to wipe everything away. Now, Jerry Richardson was not a bad owner with this team. Matter of fact, a lot of Carolina Panther fans missed him. Rest his soul. He did a lot of good. When David Tepper first showed up, Matt Rule was the head coach, got him straight from college. And it's a lot of intrigue there because when you get a college head coach, you know, it's a lot of things that may go good, may go wrong, but it's a growing process. They went out the first year, Teddy Bridgewater. They wanted a solid quarterback that could come in. They didn't have a franchise guy, but they wanted a guy that can get them over the hump. He wasn't going to keep them from winning football games, and he wasn't going to be the reason that they lost football games. So you go out there, you get Teddy Bridgewater. Solid move. You have DJ Moore, you have Christian McCaffrey. Here we go. Now, Christian McCaffrey just had a 1,000 season. You know, right with Cam Newton, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. One of the best players in the NFL to this day. They weren't able to work things out with Teddy Bridgewater. He got injured. PJ Walker had to come in. He got injured in an Atlanta Falcons game, to be exact. He hurt his leg. PJ Walker came in, did some good, had some good snaps, had a lot of mediocre snaps as well. Second year, they say, hey, we're going to trade him to the Denver Broncos. They put Teddy Bridgewater with the Denver Broncos. They get a second-round pick. They trade that second-round pick that was already their own pick to the New York Jets for Sam Darnold. Now, let's fast forward. Well, let's pause for a second. You go out there and you trade a second-round pick for Sam Darnold. I wasn't the biggest fan then, and I'm definitely not the biggest fan now. Sam Darnold was basically a bust with the New York Jets. Everyone in NFL circles knew this team is honed in on Zach Wilson. The New York Jets love Zach Wilson. You trade a second-round pick for Sam Darnold. Not only did you do that, but you had to exercise a fifth-year option. This is a guy that was pretty much damaged goods. No disrespect to Sam Darnold because he was a terrible situation with the New York Jets. No offensive line. The receivers weren't the best, and he had Adam Gase as his head coach. Besides Peyton Manning, you're not going to find too many quarterbacks that has had success with Adam Gase as a play caller and most definitely as a head coach. Sam Darnold comes in, and for the first couple of games, I had to eat crow because he looked good. Sam Darnold came in, threw the football around, did a lot of good. But he wasn't that true answer that they were looking for. But you already exercised his fifth-year option. You had Christian McCaffrey, you had DJ Moore, and then the wheels fell off the train. They were not able to get things going. The offensive line was very bad. They got exposed by the Dallas Cowboys. Sam Darnold got beat up a lot, banged up a lot, was not able to finish out the full season. Dealt with some injuries because the offensive line was so bad. So they went in the next draft. They draft Icky at the left tackle position, had a solid rookie season. But they also did something very disgusting to me. They went and traded for freaking Baker Mayfield. They traded for Baker Mayfield. Now, hear me out. You just traded a second-round pick for Sam Darnold. And when you traded for Sam Darnold, you also made a trade to get Stephon Gilmore. You also made a trade to get C.J. Henderson. So you're just trading picks at this point for just rentals because these guys are not on to long-term contracts, especially Stephon Gilmore at the time. So you're just trading picks that could become young developing players for this team. It's like you're trying to put a Band-Aid on things. That goes back to David Tepper's investment strategy. That's the same type of similar strategy that he had when it came to investing. When his investments always hit, he looked like a genius. Football is not investing. To a certain point, you can say that it is. You know, you draft a certain talent, say, we invest in him, we hope that he'll get better over time. But when you're trading picks like that, you're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. You're not actually fixing the problem long term. And that's what this team has done, that quarterback position. They've rolled the dice and played Russian roulette so much with that quarterback position, now you're in the bind. So they go out there, they trade for Baker Mayfield. In the first couple games from jump, he looked terrible with this team. Baker Mayfield looked awful. He was so bad that he was not even able to finish the full season with this team. They cut him. He goes up to the Los Angeles Rams, and guess what? Immediately, he has success. Isn't that something? In the same time, they fired Matt Rule, and then they trade Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers. I said it then. I'm saying it now. I do not like the move. I still hate the move that they traded Christian McCaffrey. He was their best offensive player. Yes, I understand he dealt with injuries with this team. Doesn't be the first thing that Carolina Panther fans say, but he dealt with injuries. He wasn't the same Christian McCaffrey the 49ers he was with us. Like hell, he wasn't. Yes, he was. He had over 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing. He was the pulse of this offense, but he got pushed out the door. They say, you know what? Matt Rule is no longer our head coach. Let's rock out with Steve Wilks for the rest of the season. Sam Darnold comes back. He's healthy because he missed a good portion of the offseason recovering from an injury that he had. And Sam Darnold comes in. He looks good. He didn't look like a top 10 quarterback, but he looked good with the Panthers. And they were winning a good majority of their games in the back half of the season. Now, they did lose against the Steelers in tough fashion. The Steelers got to them. Steve Wilks did get out-coached by Coach Tomlin. And then against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was right before the last game of the season. They lose that game, but their secondary is depleted. You don't have Dante Jackson. You don't have J.C. Horn. Both of those guys are out. So you're depending on C.J. Henderson, a guy that you traded for, a guy that David Tepper signed off of. You have to cover Mike Evans. C.J. Henderson's not a true number one corner. He's one of the worst cover corners in the NFL, especially at that time. He's gotten better since then, but he was completely terrible at the time. He was burnt toast on the field. And you know what a lot of people say? Well, if David Tepper hires a general manager, everything gets ran by David Tepper. He gets first and final say. First and final say. He hires the coaches. He hires the general managers. And guess what? He has a weekly meeting with all of these guys. You want to know how I know this? Matt Rule has confirmed this. Frank Reich has confirmed this. Steve Wilks has also confirmed this as well in press conferences, that they meet with David Tepper a lot and they're always in talks with David Tepper. He is not the hands-off owner like how Robert Kraft is with the New England Patriots. He lets Bill Belichick make a lot of decisions. With this organization right here, the coach gets to make decisions only if David Tepper likes it, only if he can sign off of it. That's the only way. So don't come in my comment section saying, well, he doesn't have that much say so. Yes, he does. He is hands-on with this team, and that's the biggest problem with this team. Let's continue with the trades. So on the back half of the season, Steve Wilks getting things going. For sure, I thought he was going to be the head coach of this team. They went into a different direction. They hired Frank Reich after he just got fired from the Indianapolis Colts, a guy that I feel bad for. My heart goes out to him because he's actually a very nice person. If you ever meet Frank Reich, he's one of the nicest people that you can meet in NFL circles. He is a great dude. He has a very good mind with quarterbacks. He can be a very good quarterbacks coach. As a head coach, he's not it. And he could possibly be a solid offensive coordinator with the right team, just not with this team. And you look at the Indianapolis Colts, it flamed out because he never had his true quarterback. He had Phillip Rivers. He made the playoffs with him, but you had to depend on Carson Wentz. You didn't have Andrew Luck. You had to depend on Jacoby Brissett. So a lot of things that went wrong with Frank Reich. But he comes over to the Panthers this season, and things got horrible fast. This team was not prepared at all. And it was more than just Frank Reich, because Thomas Brown is a horrible offensive play caller with this team. I understand what he did against the Green Bay Packers, but let me tell you something about the Green Bay Packers. Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, is one of the worst defensive play callers in the NFL. I'm just letting that be known. Not to take anything away from the Panthers and the 30 points that they scored in that game, because Bryce Young definitely looked good, but the Packers defense has been very bad this entire season. But they fired Frank Reich at the halfway point in the season. Now, this is back-to-back years that you fired a coach in back-to-back seasons. You've done it with Matt Rule, who should have never been an NFL head coach to begin with, and you did it with Frank Reich. For one, this team's wide receivers are not good enough. Adam Thielen is the only one that can consistently get open. DJ Chark has missed a lot of games this season dealing with injuries. He has good speed. That's it. He's just a deep threat with this team. In the tight end position, Hayden Hurst, before he got injured, prayers to him because he suffered a back concussion that he has amnesia symptoms from. Hopefully that he will be okay in the future. But the thing is with Hayden Hurst, he didn't deserve that contract that he got from the Panthers, because the only reason he had a productive season was because Joe Burrow was his quarterback, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. He was just seeing single coverage. In his zone coverage, it was easy for him to get wide open. Just find an open hole, and guess what? Joe Burrow is going to find you. So you put a lot of bad pieces around Bryce Young. And speaking of Bryce Young, this team traded numerous picks and DJ Moore to go get Bryce Young. So in a span, in under a year, you've traded Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the game. Right now, the best running back in football. And you also traded DJ Moore, one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, away. DJ Moore was getting production with bad quarterbacks with the Panthers, and you just let him go. And I understand what you're going to say. They were trying to get their quarterback. They thought that they hit. At the time, I thought that they hit as well. The jury is still out on Bryce Young, but they better hope that they did hit on this quarterback. Because now you don't have your own first round pick this year, and you're the worst team in the NFL this year. The Bears have the first overall pick yet again, and the Panthers are in a horrible situation. And another thing that I'm looking at as well, they had the opportunity to trade Brian Burns to the Los Angeles Rams for multiple first round picks, for 2 first round picks, and they decided not to. And you're a losing football team. They didn't want to let him go. And guess what? He isn't even on a long-term contract with this team. That's the funny part. He was about to hold out for a couple of games this season. He threatened to because he wanted a contract extension with this team. And guess what happens now? Brian Burns did not even look motivated to play majority of this season. He was a very good pass rusher, but he wasn't the same. You look at what happened in the Dallas Cowboys game. He completely gave up in the second half of that game. This team's in a terrible situation. You can blame the coaches. You can blame Scott Fitterer. At the end of the day, David Tepper hires these guys. He's put them in this situation. I really hope that Bryce Young is a star with this team because this fan base has been through hell. They have been through hell for the last couple of years with David Tepper. A lot of Carolina Panther fans, they miss Ron Rivera, they miss Cam Newton. I would too. Because a lot of success came in that period. They had a Super Bowl appearance. This is the same team in 2015 that had a Super Bowl appearance. And 9 years later, they haven't even come close. Yes, they had a winning season and a playoff appearance, but look at how long ago that was. The Panthers are a shell of themselves. And as long as David Tepper is owner with this team, it's not going to get any better in my opinion. You can hire whatever coach you want to, whatever general manager you want to, but if he is as hands-on as he is right now with them, it's not going to last long. And you're going to have to pay Ben Johnson a lot of money. And I do believe that Ben Johnson can come in and possibly fix Bryce Young and fix his offensive line situation. That is possible. And go out there and get some wide receivers. But it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of money to fix this because you don't have the draft capital that you would have had if you would have took those first round picks for Brian Burns. I hate the move of trading DJ Moore, but I understand that's a cost of business for you to get the first overall pick from Chicago Bears. But they should have went in with a different way. And now you also have Carolina Panther fans saying this as well. Man, we should have drafted CJ with the first overall pick. It possibly could be better. CJ right now is a better quarterback than Bryce, but he's also in a better situation than Bryce. And CJ went into a bad situation as well. Don't take that away from him because I see a lot of Panther fans saying he went to a great situation. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That was a Texans organization that was going through hell for the last 2-3 years after they traded Deshaun Watson. The only problem is that owner over there with the Houston Texans decided to step off a little bit, hired the right coach. The right coach and the right general manager can take you far, but the owner also has to be able to swallow some pride. If David Tepper wants to be upset with someone, he should be upset with himself. He should pour a drink on himself in the mirror, and he should yell at himself in the mirror because he's the reason that this team's in this bad situation. Trading picks for guys like Stephon Gilmore, who was a very good corner, but you had no business trading for him in the first place. This was not a team that was going to make a realistic Super Bowl push a couple years ago with Sam Darnold. Trading a second-round pick for Sam Darnold. Trading a late-round pick for Baker Mayfield. And you may say, well, man, those late-round picks may not materialize. Antonio Brown was a late round pick. Tom Brady was a late round pick. A lot of guys you see right now in the NFL that has a lot of success, they were late round picks in the NFL. I'm not saying that they would have went out there and drafted the next Antonio Brown, the next Tom Brady, but it is better for you to draft a guy, try to develop them and get things going instead of going out there and trading for players that are damaged goods like Baker Mayfield and like Sam Darnold. And no disrespect to those guys. They just play like damaged goods with this team. And CJ Henderson has played horrible with this team. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Carolina Panthers moving forward and are bright days ahead with this team? Bryce Young, like I said before, man, not the ideal rookie season. A lot of guys have struggled in their rookie season. He has a lot of bad film out there. I will say that. And it's a lot of nasty habits that he has built on over this season. But I think a coach can come in and can fix this. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.